Torah Family is a ministry based in Costa Rica, and it was founded by Steve Moutria. Steve was a youth pastor, youth leader, youth pastor, pastor of non-denominational and denominational churches, and something happened in his life. The Almighty interrupted his life to let him know that there is a deeper truth. The truth that he was hungering for his whole life finally put in front of his face, and he embraced it. And it answered all the questions that he'd been searching for his entire life. And thinking that it was going to be warmly received, Steve, we're back with you there in Costa Rica. Tell us more about this story, about what happened in your congregation when you woke up to the Torah, that it is, as the scripture says, everlasting, not one jot or tittle passes away, and tell us what it's like when you really discover what it's like to follow Yeshua.
Yeah. You know, when we came to that truth and everything started making sense, I had made a website, just a short website, and just of a Bible study, basically. It really wasn't much. And I shared it with a lot of people, everyone who was on my email list. If you'd emailed me, I had sent it out to you. And, well, immediately I got backlash from multiple people in the church. And mind you, I was a leader in the church. And so, long story short on this, my best friend, the associate pastor of the church, who I thought for sure was going to get it. I mean, it makes sense. It's right here, right? You know, it's like, here's the Torah. You know, it's the word is forever. But yet he didn't see it. And it crushed me. And what happened in the long run, he took my name and dragged it to the church. I mean, in one email that he sent out to the whole church, a church of 1,500 plus, he dragged my name saying, now I'm Steve's following doctrines of demons and all this stuff. And that was on a Friday. And I remember my wife, we had just started a new tradition, buying flowers for Shabbat. My wife comes home with this big bouquet of flowers, and it has this big strawberry in the middle of it. And which made sense because Yahweh was showing me a confirmation. Because 6 months before all this happened, a person had a dream about me and said, hey, Steve, I had a dream about you. I don't know what it means, but there's a strawberry you had. It was a big, beautiful strawberry, and you took a bite of it, but ended up being terrible. It was horrible. And that was the end of the dream. Well, then my wife comes home with this bouquet of flowers on the day when my name is dragged through the mud to the church of 1,500 plus, and this bouquet of flowers has a strawberry right in the middle of it. And I go, Angie, look at the flowers. She goes, what? I go, the flowers, look at them. She goes, what? You know, she couldn't see it, you know. And I go, the strawberry. And then immediately she goes, oh, and she remembered the dream, how it all made sense. You know, how Yahweh was telling us, this friend that you thought you had was a friend. Well, maybe he's not as close as you thought. There's only one friend who sticks closer than a brother, and that's the Lord himself. Yeah. And that was what the Father was showing me. And, you know, ever since then, it has just been a journey of learning and growing and knowing that, you know, from there, as many of you know, that, you know, we started 119 Ministries, me and John Sherman. From that point about a year after, I grew and started learning and growing. I had a lot to learn, unlearn, okay? And so a year later, I started making some teachings. John started making some teachings, and we just put them out on the website, out on Facebook. And we said, you know what? We're answering these questions over and over. Why don't we just make our own website? So we just started making these teachings via video so people can watch them. People ask a question, here, watch this video. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And, well, the ministry grew, and far more than we had anticipated. People said, hey, can we support you? We go, well, we're just a website here. I mean, and so we had to make a bank account all of a sudden. You know, I was like, we didn't even ask for it. And it grew so much that we had to quit our full-time jobs and start a full-time ministry. And that's when we moved to Costa Rica, because Costa Rica was the cheapest place to live, because we couldn't, the ministry wasn't making enough money to support us with where we were living at the time. And so we moved to Costa Rica and kept 119 Ministry going. And since then, the Father has since led me to leave 119, which was a hard thing to do because 119 was a good thing. But he said, no, Steve, it's time for you to go. I want a ministry that's going to gear families as a whole towards Torah. Mm-hmm. And so that's where we're at now. And it reminded me of a vision I had years ago when I was even a youth pastor. The vision was where I saw through this scope, I see like these crosshairs on a house. I'm going, what's this going? And the whole vision was slowly zooming out. And as I'm looking, I'm seeing it was the enemy, Satan himself, holding a gun, and it was pointed at the house. I remember Yahweh telling me, it was, God at the time to me, he says, Steve, the enemy is attacking the home. That's where we got to home. And we got to hone our attack in to defend the home. And then that's what the vision he reminded me of when we started Torah Family. And since then, that's what we've been trying to do, is encourage families to the brass tacks on the road. When the rubber hits the road, what do we got to do? And that's what we're trying to do at TorahFamily.org.
Yeah, well, that is beautiful. As we were talking about this earlier, I was reminded, my daughter, Sarah, she has her master's in education, elementary education, and she wrote a whole series, The Feast for Families. And I am the editor, one of the first line editors. I got out of the office, parked under a shade tree, and started reading the first volume that she published. And I just started crying. And I said, I wish that I could communicate this like she does. And I realized that, I really, she's working with a clean slate. She's working with children and to raise them up. And I'm reading stories. I'm reading these things that I'm inspired by them. These are not children's stories. They're not children's books. They're, the crafts and everything that's in it is wonderful. But, it's that, I spend so much of my time trying to wake people up from the paganism and all the garbage we inherited, and that's a rude awakening. 119 Ministries, beautiful videos, beautiful teachings. That's more of a gentle awakening. It's not, it's not, you guys didn't grab anyone by the shirt and just start punching them down, okay? Just very beautiful teachings, and now it's like, okay, for your particular thing, what the Almighty has called you to with your children and all is, okay, let's go back to where we can start with a fresh slate again and just teach them the truth so they don't have to go through the pain and the suffering that you went through. Amen. So tell us a little bit more about we just got a few minutes now, but tell us a little bit more about what you're doing as far as with the families and moving into that area.
Absolutely. My children are all making our teachings for the children. It's a series called For Children by Children, and it's great. My son is getting ready to start doing his as well. We have a series we do called Let's Go. We make just for teenagers. And then my wife, she now is making teachings, written teachings and video just for the women. And then I have several series that I'm doing, and that's actually one is the Off the Cuff series, which covers lots of general topics. And then I have the Men of Yahweh series, all about becoming the man of Yahweh, that God wants us to be the man of our house. Mm-hmm. And then I do lots of other teachings, general topics that people try to call in and write, lots of general things. And those are just not really under a series, but just general topics. So we try to cover all the family as much as we can. And we've been getting lots of positive responses, and we're trying to do our best. And also we make daily devotions. Daily devotions is what's been really getting hit a lot lately. I've been finding a lot of people are finding and it's just 2 minutes. 2-minute video every morning, and people are really starting to grab a hold of those, and we're very thankful for that.
Well, Steve, what we're going to have to do is, next time I get down to Costa Rica, we're going to have to go right down from your house, down at the base of this volcano, okay, where literally, the lava is flowing out of that thing like every day. And from the mountain, there is a steaming, bubbling stream of water coming down from one mountain. From the other mountain, it's ice cold. They mix them together in this place, which is like the Garden of Eden. In fact, I have friends that are filmmakers, and they needed to film a scene in heaven. Where did they go? Right down the corner from where Steve lives. This is the one place on planet that is like heaven. And I think we're going to have to get together there and tell more of the story, introduce them to the family, and of course, everyone sees your website, how to get a hold of you there, and heartily endorse Steve's ministry. And for people, especially families, get involved and see where we can go on that. We're going to be covering, hopefully next week, we're looking at the young explorers from the Patterns of Evidence, a new video series that has been put out by Tim Mahoney, again, for families. And this is what it's all about, ladies and gentlemen. So let's stand together, let's band together, let's do everything we can to preserve the last vestige of freedom in this world and to raise our children up in the nurture and admonition of the Almighty. Steve, thanks for being with us. Bless your brother, bless your ministry, and we'll see you before the smoke clears, we hope.
Thank you, Michael.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, now we have a word for our sponsors out there. Thank you for standing with us.